Welcome to the Work in Progress podcast, where we keep our whip in check. And now, here's Michelle, certified coach and founder of Strive Leadership Development.
Welcome to the Work in Progress podcast. I am so honored today. I have one of my most highly respected mentor, role model, and friend for many years, John Rabby, here to talk to us today as our guest. And John is an extremely accomplished CEO, board member, has climbed the ladder in many corporations, and has been a tremendous leader to many, many people for many years. And I'm excited to introduce him to you today and let him tell you his story. And I know he is going to offer us so many pieces and nuggets of words of wisdom for us to share today. John is so accomplished in the agricultural business, which is basically these days the science of farming. And it's such an impressive industry that I have learned so much about. And I'm so excited for him to share. As I know, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of industry you're in. A leader and great leaders are great leaders no matter where they go. So join us here for this wonderful story and exchange and good conversation with John.
Thank you for having me. My background is quite diverse. I thought originally when I came out of school, I wanted to be a research scientist and studied it my whole life to do that. And started out evaluating a lot of these discovered products in the lab and bringing those out into field, primarily in agriculture is where I focused, and looking at the phase development of those products to see commercialization of opportunities with them, to see if they were efficacious and see if they fit the bill under the guidelines of FIFRA and EPA requirements, which, by the way, takes about 7 to 11 years for a product to move through that system, and a cost of 50 million plus. But so as you can imagine, not many of those products get through, but that's how I started. I was very fortunate that I was working with a company, American Cyanamid, that was a developing company at its time, in the fact that it discovered some new chemistry, which my team and myself were a part of helping bring to the market. Well, bringing that to the market, they needed someone to kind of explain how it worked. And it was brand new technology. It was technology that worked at very, very low rates per acre, very efficacious, very environmentally friendly, beautiful product. So they asked me to be a technical liaison between research and commercial team, explaining how these things worked and how they fit into a grower's, farmer's applications and use patterns. And so basically that then moved me in front of a lot of people. I had some very good teachers as far as coming out. Instead of giving technical presentations, you've got to basically fine tune it into elevator type speeches to farmers who are quite busy, and also your own people that have got the same kind of attention spans that most people have, about 7 seconds. And so you got to hit some of the highlighted buttons. And so that allowed me to go to a lot of different places around the world. I got a chance to go overseas quite a bit to talk about these products, primarily in Asia, Europe. But then coming back, I was asked if I would be willing to be a part of the commercial team. Now, here's a research scientist that didn't even know what an invoice was. I later found out, well, that's the bills you get. And so, I learned things very, very quickly that about strategy development. But I also had people around me that recognized, hey, you're very good at this. And they recognize some raw things, I guess, I had in me, that they then sent me off to various business charm schools. I went to Columbia, I went to Wharton, I went to University of Virginia, the Darden School of Business. And those were all 5, 6, 12-week executive programs that they sent me through. And I got a chance to network with a lot of very, very interesting people over the years that really taught me a lot about how to interact with people that are completely outside of your sector, your discipline, your mindset. And if you can relate to them, you can pick up some real interesting nuggets of of knowledge and experiences that you can translate into things that you need later in life. But anyway, did all that, and next thing you know, I'm running different business units and different groups. And next thing you know, I'm running American Cyanamid North America.
So your background, your degrees were in what again?
My degrees were in entomology, plant pathology, weed science, organic chemistry.
Yeah.
So a real lot of technical things, a lot of things that were very, a lot of science involved with what I did. And again, that proved very useful later on, because as I got into the different companies where I would have R&D reporting to me and whatever, I could technically sit with them and discuss some of the issues that they had, some of the road bumps, speed bumps, things that we could enhance or do differently. And I could stay with the conversation instead of, basically shutting the book and saying, hey, I don't need to hear this. So that's always been a lot of fun for me. But then again, taking those degrees and then learning some of the business aspects of how to run a business and what they don't teach in business school is how to lead people. And I will tell you, one of the biggest challenges that anybody will have, it's leading people. Notice I didn't say managing people. Managing people is something completely different. Leading people is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I was very fortunate. Again, I had a lot of good mentors that taught me a lot of things that I was very draconian when I came out as a manager, and because that was my title, was field manager or something of that nature. And I was just, being a science guy, it's by the book, do this, do this, do this. And I didn't respect the fact that I had a group that was quite a bit older than I was. I was the young hotshot, I guess. And I learned very quickly. We were very successful in our first year out as a group and a unit with the numbers. But as we went into the 360 feedback and the performance development feedback, I got scathed pretty quickly about being not very, I didn't listen real well. I didn't listen at all. And that was, to me, one of the most, I couldn't believe it. I thought we were walking on water, and it was a very humbling experience. And I actually had to go back. I had 15 people reporting to me in that group. And I actually went back into the room, and here I was the youngest person in the room. And I apologized to him. I said, I didn't realize that I was not allowing you guys to express what you thought and whatever. And from that point on, we were dynamite. We became and I'm still friends with a lot of those people. Those are
amazing. Well, you said that it was the relationships with people that kind of launched you into your career. They recognized you, and it sounds to me like you learning how to build relationships with your own team is kind of what really took you then next level. All boiled down to that.
It did. It took me to, well, first of all, when you're young and going in your career and whatever, you think everybody thinks like you think, or acts like you have, or says the same energy level, or the same everything they do.
We don't know anything else. You don't know any other.
Y'all should be acting like me. And in turn, we're all individualists, and we're all different, and we all have various golden nuggets and gems that if you can get those and get those moving in direction combined with what you're trying to do, it's unstoppable. And networking, the one piece of advice I can give people, networking to me is one of the most fundamental things that if you can do right and then sincerely network, not a superficial, call them when you need them. I've got people I still call today, and we just talk about family and, old things that we used to do together. And it's just, I don't have any purpose to call them, but to just say hello and see how they're doing. And I think that's true networking. That's sincere networking. And, people will recognize that, and they'll pick up on that. And being a young man or woman nowadays, a lot of the older men and women will basically try to help those that they see are really trying to improve themselves, their business, their work environment, all those various things. So that's where a lot of people, to me, miss the boat. I graduated whatever my class and whatever. I know how to, I'm smarter than everybody else, and they'll basically wind it up, wasting 10 or 15 years before they realize that no, you can't do it by yourself. There's no way you can run $1 billion company by yourself. There's no way you can run, a $250 million company by yourself. I mean,
well, you learn quickly that you didn't learn everything you needed to know in school, which I think
that is true. That you learn, some of the ABCs of what you need to do in work, but the intuitive stuff, the stuff that comes along with experience, character building, getting knocked down a few times and having to get up, is a very, very important part of growing up in a business. And again, the networking aspect of it is just something that is just truly, to me, is very, very important. Very, very
well.
important.
It's interesting you're saying that. As we wrap up May here in Strive, our focus in May has been all about relationship building and the importance of it, and how
true relationship building. Not this stuff you see on social media and all that kind of kind. I'm not a social media guy, so I'm the wrong guy to talk. And here I am doing a podcast.
I love it.
It's
only because you like me.
Well, I tell you, people nowadays form opinions so quickly on limited information when they really don't know the individual. They don't know what the situation is. There's two sides to every story. And yet everybody's portrayed a certain way. You're anti this, or you're negative that, or that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Many people form an opinion, and that's a lasting opinion until something else happens, I guess. But I'm just flabbergasted by how quickly people can make their minds up about individuals they don't even know.
Yeah. Well, I say it all the time. We're people before we're business. We're humans before anything else. And when you can connect with somebody at that human level, you have a connection with them that is, first of all, far more meaningful than anything else.
You're exactly right. And I tell you, one of the other things too is I always went into relationships or networks trying to understand what that individual's, well, first of all, what they were all about, but also what their situation was as far as work environment. And was there something I could do to help them be a better business, have a better business or a better business? I never went into it trying to sell a widget or sell myself.
Yeah.
It's all about, well, tell me, what are some of the things you face? And you get into these, well, I saw this a few years ago, and here's what I saw people do, or here's what I saw work. Here's what, I'm not the expert on this, but I do know somebody sitting over here on the West Coast, of New York or whatever. I can connect you. Maybe they can give you some guidance on that. And I tell you,
be helpful, be valuable, be a supporter.
Oh, it's amazing. It's just, man, they'll love you forever. They'll love you forever. And it's just, and I tell you, the other thing too is just do as much as you can. I'll tell a brief story. I'm a twin. I have a twin sister. There's 5 siblings in my family. I was born in Libya, in Tripoli, in Africa. My dad was Air Force, and so I was born in an Air Force base, Wheelus Air Force Base. But anyway, my mom would not fly, and I'm the next to the youngest. So she took the boat over, being pregnant with 2 twins, which we were large kids, with 2 others. Took a boat over, took several weeks to get to Africa, had the babies. 2 years later, moved back by herself. And then 10 years later, my father passed away. So I was 10 years old. My younger brother was 7. My twin sister obviously was 10. My older sister was 17. My older brother was 19. And I watched Mom raise every one of us, without a spouse, which it was the strongest person I'd ever seen in my life, and very bright lady, very, very bright. But anyway, I'm getting to this, that years later, we're sitting, she was 89 years old at the time. It's just she and I were sitting there, and I said, Mom, what would you have done differently? She graduated she graduated college at 16. She went to Princeton. Wow. She graduated her master's, whatever, at LSU. Worked on a PhD at Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. She did all this stuff. And I said, Mom, what would you have done differently? Because I always wanted to ask her that. And she looked right at me. She goes, I'd have done more. And I just look back on that. She never said more what? More PTA, more this, more that. She never said more. She never elaborated. But I always tell this, and I say that to all of my children's weddings. I said, do as much as you can. Do more. Do more. And so
that's great. I love that.
The kids nowadays, just because you wake up one day and you're my age. Life moves very quickly. Just do as much as you can and have fun with it.
I love it. Did you have any idea when you started back in the beginning as that field manager that you would have accomplished as much in your career as you ended up accomplishing?
I don't think you do. I had aspirations. When I got into the commercial side of it, I wanted to be CEO of the company. I wanted to run the company. Had no idea what that meant. Don't ask me what that meant. I just thought that was the coolest thing. And back then, you got to ride around in the big cars and the jets and everything else and all that kind of stuff. I never realized how difficult it is and how much you have to give up on your time. Because when you become senior leadership in a company, you're 24/7. There is no walking or getting away from. There are no vacations. There's nothing. You are 24/7 on call, no matter what. And it could be something happening in a plant in Puerto Rico or Europe or wherever it may be, or something going on within your business. You have to be brought into the occasion very quickly. And so at the end of the day, no, I didn't. I just thought I knew what I wanted to do. Another funny little story. I was sitting the other day, and I was a young kid coming through college, and said, "I don't know what I want to be." And I looked right at him. I said, "You know what? I've run billion-dollar companies. I've run a lot of different things in my life. I still don't know what I want to be." Okay, so don't use that as an excuse to not do anything. Okay,
right.
Go out and give it everything you got. Find things you like doing and doing them. But always, you mentioned earlier about learning something every day. When I was finishing on my master's degree, I sat there and one of my professors told me, he said, just always remember one thing, try to learn something new every day. He said, if you do that, he said, life is going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Yeah. And I try to learn something new every day, whether it be something about whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've gotten
that was the advice my dad always gave me. I heard it all the time.
Try to learn something. And meet new people, learn something every day, get out, see the world, do the things that you dream about. Don't sit back and dream about, do them. Just go out and do it. And
get in there. Got to get in the game.
That's probably some of the biggest thing that people should do that don't do is they got it in them. They just won't do it. And I don't know if that's a fear. I don't know what it is. The fear of failure. One of the big driving forces in my life is the fear of failure. I cannot fail. In my mind, I don't want to fail. That really plays out as you get older and you start doing things in tennis and whatever, and you realize you can't do them anymore.
That's a tough one. Tennis will teach you that lesson.
Yeah, age brings that forward, but the fact is that you got to get out there and push it as hard as you can, and don't be afraid to fail. I mean, failure is another, that's an old cliche, but it's another learning.
Well, tell me what was one of your biggest learning opportunities, failures in life that you had to overcome that was significant for you?
Overcome is a big word.
Yeah.
It's more about how did I redirect myself?
Okay. I like it.
Say it. Third or fourth years being a research scientist, a very key research job was opening up. And I was 20 something years old, and I felt like I should have gotten that job, and I didn't. And I was devastated that they did not recognize me. And it was a very egotistical way to look at it, but I just felt like that was my job, and they should have given it to me. Looking back on it, I realized that I had people that were already looking at me on the commercial side, and that if I'd have gone that way, I would have been probably teaching in a college somewhere now, or being a bench chemist somewhere, and would never had the opportunity to lead as many good people as I have over the years, and or be a part of the big successes of a lot of these companies with a very strong teams developed. I would have never gotten to do that. I would have known. I look back on that, and that was a bifurcating moment in my life that I look back and go, good gracious, if I'd have gone down that road, I'd be right. I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
It was a gift. It was a gift. It was a gift.
And the other cool thing about it is, people always ask me, well, who's your mentor or whatever else. People don't have one person, because they only had one person, then they're a clone. And You're not a clone. What I always tell people, in your life, you're going to have people you're going to meet all along the way that are going to give you a gift. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And first of all, you got to recognize that gift. You got to recognize who they are, and you got to have the wisdom to understand it and use it, and don't overlook it. And I've been very blessed, fortunate that I have met so many cool people in my life that have given me these nuggets that kind of putting them all together in this mosaic or in this picture kind of let me be who I am. Yeah. And so people go, well, give me one name. I said, I can't give you one name. I can give you a dozen, but I can't give you one person, because then I'd be a clone. I'd be just like that individual, and I wouldn't be who I was.
Right.
The individual that I became. And again, I try to teach my children that, and, try to keep them, understanding that, there's a lot of people that will touch you in your life. You got to recognize it when it does happen and learn from it. So,
yeah, I love the mosaic analogy. That is a great way you're taking all the pieces and parts and putting it together and creating.
I guess we're all pictures. I mean, our whole lives, the more we grow and the more we age, another piece to the picture gets added. And, mine are grandkids now, and which I never had before, and I got 3 of them. And so all these pieces just keep adding in. So it's really cool. So really neat.
So tell me about your greatest accomplishments.
I think the greatest accomplishment that I can say, and I can sit and talk about how we took billion-dollar businesses or whatever. It's giving young men and women an opportunity and watching them blossom and helping them along the way. And one of the greatest rewards in my life is seeing people that I watched as assistant whatevers now running companies, presidents of DuPont.
Amazing.
It's Corteva running the company, the president, CEO of Winfield, which is, what are they, a $4 billion company.
Wow.
The CEO was a very good friend and someone I helped and watched grow. And I wouldn't say, I wouldn't put it that I made them who they are. Again, I was a piece of the mosaic that they put together.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I did was open some doors for them and say, hey, you need to go that way. You need to at least try that. You need to have that experience. And I used to sit with people, and it was so interesting because I want to be CEO of the company. And I put a chart together, and I put where they are, where they currently were in their job position. I put a CEO. And then I'd list out about 5 or 6 different things a CEO had to have.
Okay.
What experiences he had to have. And then I listed out their role and what the experiences were they were learning. And then I drew this map of various jobs, just as indicators that these are the things you've got to learn. And here are jobs that can give you those international experience, people leadership, P&L experience, balance, whatever it may be, business development skills, da-da-da. And so I draw this little map of basically, going up into that CEO job. But I said, if you can get all this done, it does not guarantee you'll be CEO. There's a lot of luck. Right. There's a lot of things got to fall your way, but at least you will have a skill set, an experience set that matches up what people are looking for in a CEO. And you may not have the personality. You may not have the Q factor. I don't know. I don't know what you'll be in 20 years or 10 years or 15 years. But if you can at least get these different experiences in your career, you will pick up these certain training and these learning experiences that in turn, when somebody looks at your piece of paper, your resume, you say, wow, I ran an international business for 5 years. I was based out of Athens, Greece. Why did I do that? Well, because somebody said, hey, and somebody said, that's a great learning experience, and off I go.
So you had a goal, you have a goal,
yeah,
you put the milestones, you put the strategy in place. And even if you had been redirected along the way, it probably would have been exactly the gift you needed anyway. But
exactly. And again, I was very fortunate that I met a lot of good people. And again, I go back to the networking side of it, got to know a lot of the board of directors members that helped me and propelled me into a lot of key things. And the other thing, which now in turn, I'm on quite a few company boards because of those relationships.
Right.
You got all this experience, come help us now with our company. And that's a brand new learning experience right there. Being on a board, For all those out there that want to be on board, just always remember one thing: nose in, eyes on, hands off. A board member cannot be operational. First board I ever got on, I tried to be hands-on and very operational. That's not a board member. You're taking away somebody else's job. A board member, strategic, connecting that company with other companies through networking, but is not operational. The minute you ever get part of a board and you're doing operational things, then you're
doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're wasting. You're paying somebody a lot of money that's running that company. It shouldn't be running the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm saying that partially, but unfortunately,
right, makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah, that's not your role. So tell everybody about these shelves behind you and what's included on all of those these days.
This, you asked me earlier about my greatest accomplishments. This is my greatest accomplishment.
Yeah,
I would
amazing.
Hope you see it. This is my family. This is my family, my children, my friends. 5, 6, 7 years ago, when I was really still going strong, that would have been filled with all my business books, all my various notebooks that I keep. I keep a notebook of every year of my life in business. I write down everything, and all would have been all sitting there. Now it's a full montage of a collection of friends, family, grandkids, and all my loved ones, so to speak. So the most important thing to me in my life right now is right behind me. So
your people, all your people,
all my peeps, yeah,
all your peeps. That's right.
But anyway, it makes me, again, it brings me back to the balance that I think you have to have in life too. And the older you get, the more you will experience that. Because being a hard charger, you tend to not to realize how important it is, but you will learn it one way or the other.
Absolutely, you
will learn it. So,
what do you? If you could give advice if you could go back to the person you were way back then, what's the one piece of advice you would give that person?
Be patient.
Be patient.
I just felt like things needed to happen daily for me, and when they didn't, I got frustrated. And, just dug even harder trying to find, why this wasn't happening at a pace that I want. And that's, as I mentioned earlier, when you start leading and running teams, that kind of drive, you gotta understand that you have to stop and listen to what their thoughts, concerns. They've got families. You got to listen that, and I didn't have that back then. I just was very impatient. I still fight that today. I fight it very, very much every day. That I just want to make things happen and do things and see things and just jump in. And as you grow in your career, you gotta realize that being task oriented leads to goal orientation, leads to strategic vision, and all of that. So at some point, your patience is going to be very, very helpful, and listening as it goes along. Part of that. That's what I'd have told myself to be patient and listen to more what people are saying, either about business or about themselves. And
right.
But I did learn that over time. But it's I wish I just look back and go, gosh, I'd done that back then. Shoot, I don't know what could I be doing, But I feel like I've accomplished a lot. I mean, I feel like I look back on it.
Well, absolutely, and I think you're connecting all the dots that you had your goals and you wanted it to happen right away. But I think that anytime you're being that strategic, there's strategy involved in that, and there's patience behind strategy.
But being a young, immature person, you don't realize that. I mean, you're just like, you're ready to say, I want to eat iron every morning for breakfast. And it's just, I don't know. I still have intensity to me that I do like. I do like, because it keeps me charged and motivated. And it just keeps me trying to go for that next, rung on the ladder, so to speak. But it's not the business side of it, as it's more about me only for personal growth and, get more about what's going on in the world. So,
yeah. So if I asked you what's ahead for you, do you have that defined for yourself?
No, I mean, I could tell you, but tomorrow I tell you something different.
Okay.
I just think that's the coolness of it. When you get to do all the things in life that you kind of like, wow, I checked that box, checked this, did that. And now you're trying to, what boxes are there out there? I know they're there. I just got to go find them. So now I'm looking for the boxes that are out there. Wow, I didn't know I could do that. I never even thought about that before. And this is stuff that, I mean, it's playing pickleball, playing more tennis, doing things from a sport or from an athletic or an exercise, just doing, more stuff. And again, I go back and what my mom said a long time ago, do more. I'm just doing as much as I can.
And here you are in a podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to do it as long, as hard as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And again, guide my children and my children's children as much as I can without being a meddling grandparent. That's what I'm going to try to do. That's where I'm going. So, and then meet people like myself and befriend y'all and have fun with everybody and enjoy a good glass of red wine every now and then. So.
I love it. Yeah. So how are you a work in progress today? What is it in you that you feel like is your work still?
I think the learning more about the generation that we currently have coming up. It's so different than how I grew up. And I hear things and I watch things and I immediately want to put it in the box of my learning experiences, and it doesn't fit those boxes. There's so many different things that are going on, and this is technology is changing this, I didn't have, Wikipedia or we didn't have cell phones growing up. We didn't have any of it. We didn't have computers. I didn't get computers till I was in my 20s. So, I would either, if I'd had all this stuff back when I was growing up, I would either be crazy right now or absolutely, running the world, so to speak. But my point is, the technology at your fingertips now is just phenomenal, and trying to learn how the young men and women are taking that and learning from it instead of just being, well, I could push that button and it'll tell me the answer. Well, no. That's not the way it works. And I give you just a good example. I always tell people, don't learn how to do your multiplication or your addition with a calculator. Do it in your head. And my kids, and again, I forced them all to multiplication. I just said, you got to think about things. You got to think about, what is 12 plus 12 or 12 times 12 or whatever. Do it in your head. Do it in your head because it makes you think. It makes you think so much broader. Well, nowadays they're not teaching them that. They're not teaching them
right.
Button. And I think there's a fundamental loss there that I just kind of try to bring these young kids back to reality a little bit. And I think the other thing too is their expectations are, talk about me not having patience. I think their expectations, they want to be a CEO 2 years after they start with a company, in a telesales role, is unrealistic. And somewhere along the line, people got to bring them back to, to terra firma and say, hey, look, guys, gals, it's a lot of work. It is just tremendous amount of work and experience. But if you really, really want it, it's there. I mean, you can do it. You get it. You can find it. You can be there. But it's not going to happen in 2 years. And so you get, I don't know, people, 2 years into, well, I'm not CEO of the company. I'm going to leave the company.
Yeah.
Well, their investment in that company is 2 years.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
It's nothing.
I spent 30 years or 28 years with one company. And that's an investment. And nowadays, and I get it. I get it. It's just the time companies come and go and things are moving so much more quicker. But I still think that's a lost experience that I wish.
Yeah. And I think there's another important message in there, which is just because you don't get where you want to go in this idea that you have doesn't mean anything about you. It has nothing to do with your talent or abilities. Yeah. It's just going to take time to get there. You are going to have to invest more in it to get there.
You're exactly right. And I tell you, the other thing too is getting good, solid, truthful feedback. Yeah. And look, some people just can't be a doctor. I can never be a medic. I can never be a medic. That will not happen in my life.
Yeah.
So, telling people kind of, or at least pointing them in a direction that's a little bit more in line with what they can accomplish. I'm never going to be a nuclear physicist or anything like that. But at the end of the day, mentors are people that kind of say, "Hey, have you looked at this? Or you thought about this? Those are the to me, those are the key. Those are the gems of a company.
Yes,
that can help guide some of these guys and gals that are coming up, and just kind of give them some words of advice, and hopefully they listen.
Well, and I think that you bring up a good point, because something else I encourage a lot is for mentors to seek out those who need it. And if you want to grow, to find a mentor for yourself who will give you that feedback. So no matter which position you're in, go find the other person and ask for help.
And you need to be mature enough to accept that feedback in whatever way. And it may be disappointing. You thought you wanted to be whatever. And that's not going to, or the chances of that are low. Okay. Really low. But here is what I see in you. That's very, very strong. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Have you exercised those enough? Do you feel that you're very good at them? Be the best you can be, but all be the best you can be within the skill set you've been given and the mindset you've been given, and work, stay in your zone, so to speak. And that's a harsh way to say it, because you really want people, discovering, exploring, and doing a lot of different things. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we all have given talents that we need to make sure we really explore and explode. Okay.
Well, if you had so much talent and skill set and knowledge and experience when you were in your job, but if they had told you need to go to charm school and learn how to lead people better, if that had made you quit right then because you weren't getting what you wanted, you would have never.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Instead of feeling I was being sent off for punishment or something, I realized that they were trying to help me. They were trying to help me be a better person that could help the company grow, a better leader. And I was fortunate that I did listen to them. I did, not every time, but I did listen to them enough that it really propelled me to a next level of learning or experience that I was able to get. So.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So, John, what do you most want to be known for?
It's a good question. I think I'll separate in two different ways. I want to be known as a great granddad. Okay. But that's a family focused, event and
but that's valuable. That's important.
Yeah, it is. That's very, very important to me. And I guess from a business standpoint, I want to be remembered that I was a guy that helped a lot of people get connected either to their skill sets or to opportunities that led them to do the greatest things and the greatest experiences and utilize their skills to the utmost ability. And I know that I wish there was a word for that, but I don't have it. But that's all I want to be remembered for. That I helped a lot of people. The numbers and all that make business. That goes along with it. But you got to have the people. You got to have the teams. You got to have the groups that are right there doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and the ups and downs, emotional ups and downs of businesses, how they go. But I guess looking back on it and thinking about all the young men and women and people that kind of I said, hey, go look at this, go try this, do this, do that, do this. I hope, and what I've always done in every one of those experiences, I've seen them when they've grown up into their roles. I've said to them, you remember what helps you get along, and you pass that on. You pass that on to the next person, and you challenge them that the only thing you want from them is for them to pass that on. Everybody go, what can I do for you? What you can do for me is pass that on. Next time you have a chance to help someone, help them. Okay. That truly want to be helped. Okay.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you can do that, I promise you'll be just as satisfied later in life as I feel like I am now. And that's kind of what I look at nowadays. been married to a beautiful woman for 42 years, and she's put up with me. And, like I said, just keeping her happy. And this is the other aspect of being the family side of it, being a good granddad. But I just think that the message you can send to everybody that you're training is, as they become better people in business or life, any of those experiences they can pass on to someone that they truly think either needs it or is listening to them, then give it. Then give that direction, give that advice, give that experience. And it may or may not stick, but at least you gave it the effort. And I promise you, 7 out of 10 times, you're going to be amazed at what happens. You're going to be absolutely amazed.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And I think, to sum up everything you just said, you are just a genuinely good human being, number one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And passing it on is something that I've always really, truly respected and admired in you. And I love that is the message the message of today is, whatever you learn, just pass it on, be willing to give. And I appreciate that from you, John. And you obviously live up to that each and every day.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and being on a podcast and doing something new and putting yourself out there. That's awesome.
Yeah. Learn something new every day. Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you again for joining us. And I know everybody here listening will gain so much from your messages today. So I really appreciate you sharing the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
For more ways to keep your work in progress in check, visit striveleadershipdevelopment.com.